For several years, you have not moved. So you need to look deeply into that. Why? Something happened. I'm not here to criticize or analyze a certain country, but I would like to share with you that these numbers show us where we stand presently. So, for example, Egypt, when it comes, say, to education and higher education, Egypt is number 91 in the world. So it is worthless to study in Egypt, unless you study Sharia. But other subjects, you're taking it from a non-competitive country. The best country currently in the whole Arab and Muslim world is Qatar. Qatar, an overall order of Qatar is number 10 in the world. And it has been advancing so quickly. So for example, last year it was number 14. This year it is number 10. So it has advanced hugely, especially in education, by the way. So looking at these numbers, and looking at the numbers of the 57 Muslim countries, most of them are backward in all areas. Add to that many of them are governed by oppressive regimes and dictatorships. So it tells us why we are backward. And I will come to the resistance later on, inshallah. So, when it comes, for example, take Libya. When it comes to availability of money at the time of Gaddafi, Libya was number 4 in the world. They had so much money. Estimation was $110 billion that is not used. While in economic development, Libya was number 126 out of 139. So where did the money go? So this is just drawing a quick picture of our competitiveness in the world. But looking deeply, as I said, the first part I'm talking about is the present. So looking deeply into the present, I have analyzed that there are 5 major problems that the Muslim world faces. The first major problem, which is very obvious, is behavior. Behavior in all areas of life. Examples. I congratulate the brothers and sisters, the Muslims here in Malaysia, for the beautiful masjids they have, the clean masjids they have, but my congratulation is that they put their shoes in the racks. This is not done in the Muslim world. People are so lazy that they just leave the shoes on the ground and the racks are empty, which shows it is a backward mentality. They are not organized and they are lazy. And this is a phenomenon. This is you are the exception, huh? Wallahi. This is a phenomenon in the Muslim world, huh? Wherever you go, most countries, you'll see the shoes on the ground and the racks are empty. Again, under behavior, huge problems on behavior. Family relations, how husbands deal with their wives, disastrous. No respect, beating, etc. How to deal with children, also disastrous. Although Islam teaches something else. But that is the situation of Muslims. We have to analyze ourselves, otherwise we will not plan well. Behavior on the streets. I mean, here, mashallah, you're well organized in your driving. But I dare you to drive in Kuwait or Qatar or Saudi Arabia without being killed. Wallahi, يعني, daily when I go out, I face death average 2 to 3 times a day. Daily. Because of reckless driving. Cleanliness. Huge problem. Even the percentage of those who smoke. In Egypt, for example, percentage of youth, 25 years, between 15 to 25, who smoke is 71%. And so on and so on. So huge problem in behavior. So that is our biggest, one of the biggest problems that we face. The next biggest problem that the Muslim world face is effectiveness. Most people are not effective. Most companies and ministries and governments are not effective. There was a study done in the Gulf, and we found out that the production of a government service person is 15 minutes a day. That is all. And that is even better than the percentage in Egypt, which is 5 minutes a day. Totally ineffective. The third major problem that we face is backwardness. Backwardness in education and educational curriculums, backwardness in the management systems and ways of leading the country, backwardness in scientific research, etc., etc., etc. As example, let's take scientific research. Israel spends 7% of its budget on scientific research. The average in the Arab world, of course there are some countries that are better than others, but the total average is 0.25. 0.25%. So Israel spends 28 times what we spend on scientific research. But they don't value scientific research. So, huge problems, major problems. Analyzing this even deeply, although these are major problems, I found out that they are really the result of 2 bigger problems. All of these 3 major problems really are the symptoms. They are not the disease, they are the symptoms. The disease lies in 2 other major areas, and that is fikr, intellectuality, and leadership. How do we understand Islam itself? How do we understand life, civilization, the world? We have huge problems in that. And they know that I am outspoken because I graduated from the United States. So I lived in a free country where you can speak your mind. And I come from Kuwait. And Kuwait, when it comes to freedom and freedom of speech, is the #1 country in the Arab world. We compete only with Lebanon on freedom. So, a huge problem in understanding Islam itself. And the biggest problem is in our scholars, our shuyukh. Really, traditional understanding of Islam that has nothing almost to do with what the Prophet ﷺ practiced. It comes from tradition, it comes from customs, and it is presented as if it is Islam. It is not Islam. And I have done the full study comparing our fatwa and what was practiced at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Wallahi, I assure you, especially young men and women, wallahi, it is not the same. And I will show you some examples. So we have a huge problem on fikr, understanding. The second major problem is leadership. And I summarize it in my leadership courses by relating a joke, where a man goes to the fish market, takes a fish, smells the tail of the fish, and puts it back. Takes another fish, smells the tail, and puts it back. So the man who sells the fish was wondering, what is this man doing? So he asked him, said, brother, what are you doing? He said, I'm checking your fish if it is fresh or not. He said, if you want to check if it's fresh or not, you smell the head. You do not smell the tail. He said, brother, the head is corrupt a long time ago. We want to save the tail only now. So it summarizes how the young men and women in the Muslim world, or Arabs especially, look at their leadership. It's corrupt, it's no hope. So we have two major problems that are the result, that are the reason for all the other symptoms. So our behavior, our backwardness, our ineffectiveness is the result of how we think and how we are led. Now these are the problems. And when you study the present or any time, you also look at the bright side. It's not always gloomy. So what is the bright side of the Arab and Muslim world? The first one is the Muslim world is in general very young in age. Percentage of youth and children, anyone who is less than 25, only 25 years old, is more than 60%. While, say, in Japan, it is only 24%. In Germany, it's only 20%. So, societies are full of the youth. And the youth are the hope of the future. And that's what we're talking about. And I will emphasize this in a minute, inshallah. So that is one area that we are really, really strong. Of course, with an older age society, a lot of problems come. Production goes lower, healthcare expense goes higher, etc., etc. So this is for our advantage, that our societies are really young. The second thing that is really major in the Muslim world that is not found anywhere else with the same percentage is that people respect and love their religion. And a study done by Gallup, the famous company that does surveys, which is not a Muslim company or organization, have shown that the average of considering Islam as a major part in the life of Muslims, the average is 96%. So I say it in my lectures that even sinners love Islam and respect Islam. So, there was once in Egypt an interview with a belly dancer. Excuse me. And she was asked, what is the secret of your success? And she would say, I always read Ayatul Kursi before I go to the party. So I tell my non-Muslim friends, you have to understand this. You have to understand it. This is so deep in their life. See, it is the only society that when they sing, they say Allah, Allah. When there is a marriage and they bring the bride, they will say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. They praise the Prophet. And I have seen this so many times. See, I was part of the